Hey, what's going on? Strat Soldier here with the weekend shift. We always do a pre-recorded show once a month, and we got something special for you. Something awesome, okay? We have Rob Smith's presentation from Las Vegas from the FinTwit convention, okay? OG Trades was there live. He saw this, okay? Live with his own eyes. I wish I was there, but I wasn't. I wish I was there. But any great substitute teacher, you're here with me on the weekend. I'm your substitute teacher for the week. I'm bringing in, here I come with this big cart with this big TV on it, strapped down, and I'm putting in a VHS, and we're gonna watch Rob's presentation. That's what this show is gonna be about. Get in the chat, have fun, answer each other's questions. Maybe Rob will be out here and he can talk to us as well. That would be really cool. I don't know. I might be in the chat as well. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I do know I've seen this presentation. If you haven't seen it, you're in for a treat, because this is what the strat is all about. Yeah, so many spoilers. But he goes through the things that do not work, and then he comes to the strat and says, "Hey, this is the strat." And he shows them these micro charts and these macro charts, and it's blowing people's minds, and it's awesome. I love seeing it. One thing that did get omitted from the slideshow that Rob did is the Strat Trade checklist. So let's look at that. This is the Strat Trade checklist, and this is something you should print out. I put these little faces on here just to make it funny, but print this out, put it next to your monitors, okay? That way you don't have to guess if you have a winning position or a losing position, okay? Winning trades look like, losing trades look like this. They look like you're getting chopped up in scenario 1, okay? Trading scenario 1 while it's still forming. Scenario 2 going against you, okay? Whether that's a 2 down when you're trying to go long, or a 2 up if you're trying to go short, okay? And then a scenario 3 going against you. That could be 2 to reversal up, but then it fails, comes back through. Now you're in a losing position, okay? Same thing on the other side. Everything's been red. You're shorting something. This thing goes 2 down, but then comes back up. Now it's a 3 against you, okay? That's a bad juju, okay? Got to know what a losing position looks like. And then time frame continuity against you, okay? Go watch episode 3 where I talk about a different type of strat trade checklist. But we always talk about time frame continuity and who's in control and highest probability. You don't want to take a 2 to reversal on a 60, and it's the only time frame that has that color. You know what I mean? Oh, it's 2 to reversal up on the 60. Awesome, here it comes. But then you look at the day. The day's red. The week's red. The month's red. How long? That's what Rob says. Where do you think you're going? You know what I mean? How far you think this thing's going to go? Might not be that far, okay? So winning trades look like this. Scenario 2 in your favor, okay? Scenario 3 in your favor. Sometimes you'll get a 2 down, but then it ticks and then back up, okay? You're still in. Still good. Still good. And then scenario 3, that's scenario 3 in your favor, and then time frame continuity in your favor, okay? The month is green, the week is green, the day is green, the 60 is green. You're shorting something. Since you might as well talk about the trend, what's going on out here, okay? You're shorting something. The month is red, the week is red, the day is red, the 60s are red, okay? So when Rob gets to this part of the show, this is the strat trade checklist he was talking about. So take a picture of this thing, and take a picture of it, print it out, put it next to your monitors, have it always there as a reminder. And I am going to be quiet, okay? If you want to get in with Sepia Group and just get a quick taste of what Rob was bringing to you, okay? You can type in Strat Soldier 2022. That's going to get you the first 3 months of Rob's live room for $99 a month for the first 3 months, okay? That's a good start. That's a super great start, okay? And that's going to get you in there. It comes with power hours every Monday with Rob, 1 hour after the close, and then you got access to the forums. You got Sepia Group, Sepia Social, and then you got me out there. I'm always in the forums. and helping you guys out all the time. And it comes with a bunch of other stuff too. So come check it out. Come check it out. Strat Soldier 2022. Get in. Get in. All right, so here it is. Come on, Rob, bring it in. This is Strat Soldier. I'll talk to you guys after the show. Peace.
Let me get my clicker here and we get started. So, how many people in this room have no idea what I'm going to talk about today? Raise your hand. Awesome. Awesome. I like to get new people. All right. How many people totally know what I'm going to talk about? Okay. So what we've just done is identified 2 participation groups. All right. Those who know and those who don't know. Right. So the good part is the second group is about to become part of in the know. Right. So a little bit about myself. So I'm 57. I started on the CBOE when I was 15 years old. And they're like, how do you get a job on the CBOE when you're 15 years old? I'm like, well, when your dad runs Merrill Lynch, it's not that hard. So nepotism's pretty heavy down there. So I started working down there when I was 15 years old. And the first week I was working there, I was in the Texas Instruments Houston oil pit. And Houston Oil had gold in one of their oil wells. The place went nuts. So I'm like, I got a crash course in what fast markets look like down there. So then I came back. I worked summers through high school and college. And then I started full-time in 1989 on the Chicago Stock Exchange. I was a specialist in OTC and listed, which means I was controlling the regional market, as well as an independent trader for myself. So the VROB there, that's a V account is your personal account, and you can see the specialist stuff there and all that kind of fancy stuff. And 270 was my badge number. And here's a picture of me with my friends on the floor. You got JJ up here. Over here, you might have, if anybody who listens to my broadcast, he sits in for me. Well, that's him. That's us. And that's Jim Wynn over there, a buddy of mine. So growing up on the exchange, really, the Chicago Stock Exchange was a bastion of short selling. Because in those days, we had the interfloor trading system with New York. And they had to have an uptick to short. We did. So we could just hit them. So we just had lines of guys who were short selling. So I really never saw such a bullishness until I went to the props field. And they're like, do you swing trade? And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. Because on the trading floor, it's take a position. So he's got position. And so we would, have lines of these guys just sitting there and just wailing on stuff. And I remember one time with Jimmy, he worked for one of the bigger guys down there. And he's like, Smitty, you want to short this thing? I'm like, why? He's like, because there's going to be an article in Barron's tomorrow. I'm like, how do you know that? He's like, we know the author. And I'm like, I'm in. So a whole lot of fun down there. So this picture is probably 1997 because I'm standing on the floor. In 98, I became a specialist, NASDAQ specialist down there, but I cut my hair in 96. So I'm pretty damn sure it's 97. And there I'm with my son, headband, ponytail, and the screens. So I've been running 8 screens at least since 1990. So I've been looking at a lot of screens. Now I have 16, and we'll get to that in a second. But let's get to it here about what I'm going to talk about here. Oh well, everybody likes a good horror story, right? So let me tell you my first horror story. So I'm working on the floor. I'm clerking for a specialist, and I'm going to be getting married, right? I'm not even a member yet. I'm just clerking, but I had an account, and the guy I was working for, big position trader, and he'd probably make money maybe only 5 days a month, but then he'd make it all. He'd be short and doing whatever, and he'd have order flow because he was a specialist, and so the guy next to us, Harvey Kahn, was the specialist in Compact. Well, this is 1990, right? You know what's going to happen? Eventually, everyone's going to have a computer. This is a big deal, right? Everybody's going to have a personal computer, right? And these guys are on the forefront of it. So Harvey's a specialist, and I'm like, all right, and I'm working for Jim, and I see Compact going 80, 90, 100, 120. And I'm like, yeah, man, I'm in 120. Yeah, let's go. This thing's, everybody's going to have a computer. This thing's going to be awesome. And I come in the next morning, and on the screen, in those days, there was no pre-market, all right? what they would have is an indication where this thing's going to open. And I come in the next morning, and it says CPQ 8090. And I was like, Harvey, what does that mean? He's like, that's the indication. I'm like, it's opening down $30? And he's like, yeah, they had earnings last night. I'm like, Jim? He's like, we'll just buy more. I'm like, yeah, screw them. We'll buy them some more, man. It's cheap, right? Come in the next day, I'm like, 50, 60. It's down another $30. I'm like, Jim, what are we going to do here, man? I'm like, I'm almost blown out, and I'm getting married. I barely even started. By the time I blew it out, it was at 36. And fortunately, I had some good capital to start with, but I took a beating. And so Harvey had a computer with charts on it. And he's like, that's head and shoulders, that's this or whatever. I'm like, how do you know what that is? And he's like, there's books on it. And I'm like, I walked across the street, I bought every book they had. I was like, I got to figure this. That kind of kills me. And all of them had like an asterisk. Well, nothing works in all markets. I'm like, well, how are you going to tell me what market it is? You know, I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I'm like, so what I did was, for 20 years, I would look at 2,500 to 3,000 charts a day. And I was like, I got to figure this out. And I'm like, there's got to be a commonality here to things that before they move, while they're moving, what they're doing, right? It took me 20 years to figure it out. It took me another 7 to refine it down to what it is, the strat today. But that's how I did it. Just continued immersion of the charts without trying to analyze them at all. I was like, I just got to see them, and something will come to me. So not my first rodeo here, all right? I've been around a while, right? I've seen a lot of stuff. So we'll get to it. So we know almost everybody who sets out to trade loses, right? That's pretty common knowledge, right? It's like when you tell your friends, I'm going to start day trading, do they say, oh, you're going to be rich? They're like, nah, you're going to lose all your money, man. Everybody knows that. So there's got to be a commonality to all this losing, because you have to be insane to start into this business knowing what the attrition rate is, right? It's like, you know, I'm going to sign up for Vietnam. It's like, you know, probably not. And there's so much information out there on how to be profitable. How come everybody's so bad at it, right? There's got to be a reason. There's got to be a commonality, right? So there's a famous study in London from 1848 by a guy named John Snow. And what he did was he took this map. There was a cholera outbreak in London, and they couldn't figure out what's going on. They were quarantining everybody. They thought it was being passed in the air. So he took this map and put it down. He's like, what's the commonality of all these people? Commonality? They're drinking from the same well. It's the water. It's in the water. That's how they figured that out. So what would be the commonality of all traders? Everybody. Pretty much everybody. Right? Technical analysis. It's got to be the problem, right? That's why this was in a used bookstore. That guy's not trading anymore, right? $4, not bad. It has to be the problem because it's the only commonality that everybody uses, right? So if that's true, let's take a look. Okay, relative strength, moving averages, MACD, any of that, that's a momentum indicator. No way. It's not possible, right? They're lagging indicators, all right? So anybody want to volunteer to come up here for a second? Anybody? How about you? All right? Follow me where I'm going, okay? You follow me. Where am I going? Yeah. You don't know, right? You're following me. That's a lagging indicator, okay? Also, right? So it's also, they talk about a momentum indicator, okay? This is the formula for momentum. Mass times velocity equals momentum. Do you know what price doesn't have? Mass. It's impossible, right? It's impossible for it to have momentum. It's an analogy. It's like it does, just like when you have a sports team. They really got momentum coming into the playoffs. They don't actually have that. It's an analogy. If they did, you wouldn't have to play the game. They have more momentum than that, they win, period, right? Okay. Fibonacci Mathematics. This guy has determined the price could go up, down, or sideways. So the problem with Fibonacci Mathematics is that mathematics is an exact science, right? 2 plus 2 is 4. 4.1 is F, right? So if that were true, every move ever could be be formulated through Fibonacci Mathematics. I'm telling you, you probably can't do it once, right? You got decimals in there, right? You probably can't do it once. So, no. Pattern recognition, all right? Here's the problem with pattern recognition. It tells you that the analyst is only using one time frame to fit their narrative. Because we know if it were this simple, well, everybody would just make money. I'm like, there's a wedge, there's a that, there's a this. We know it's not true. Because also it tells you that they're only looking at one time frame. You want to look at least 4 time frames on anything you're looking at, right? Because I can vaporize that pattern by changing the time frame. Also, software is going to present data to you the way it wants. Do you know that some software updates the 60-minute on the bottom of the hour, others updates it on the top of the hour, and those two charts look completely different? You want to analyze data. You want to don't try and read a chart. So let's take a look at this guy.
Weeds here. Over the summer, you basically have this head and shoulders top. Basically, almost. What happens when the head and shoulders doesn't come to fruition, you get a very powerful move in the opposite direction. I think that move's going to take us up.
What the hell? It's like, this is the actually most bearish pattern there is. But when it doesn't work, it's the most bullish pattern in the world. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, right? You ever known for every pattern there's a corresponding fail to that pattern? You know what that's telling you? It's irrelevant, what you're looking at. The risk-reward ratio. Here's where people really kid themselves. I'm going to buy it at 100, put a stop at 99, and put a sell order at 103. My risk-reward is 3 to 1. No, it isn't. If you had a pie chart of how more likely it is to move $1 than it is to move 3, based on your analysis, it's not even close. Most people have no idea how to gauge their magnitude. And do you know how I know that? You'll have guys say, I think it's going from 40 to 50. And it does, right? And he's going to be the first guy to tell you that. You know, he's also going to say, I'm selling out my last piece at 50. I'm like, you said it was going to 50 and you've been selling? I want to be as long as I've ever been if it goes to 50, right? Well, you didn't know. You didn't know how to gauge his magnitude. He was just talking out his keister, right? The do not trade list. Anybody have a do not trade list? Oh, that stock just has my number. You know, I can't trade that one. I'm going to go trade something else because that one just has my number. But if you have a do not trade list, you might as well put them all on there, all right? Price action's uniform, and I know there's different types of liquidity, and I understand that. But when I show you the basics of how price action works, it's all the same. It's just a matter of speed and stuff like that and liquidity. Okay, this is more market psychology, losing psychology. Okay, there's an analogy I like to use about the bus. All right, so most struggling traders will go through charts agonizingly over the weekend and come in Monday mornings like, here's my best ideas, right? Here's my best ideas. I'm like, all right, they just jump right in there. And they get 2 stocks. And one goes up and one goes down. You know what most traders are likely to do in that situation? They're going to sell that winner to pay for that loser and hope it comes back. I want to tell you how insane that is. It's like waiting for the bus, right? And you get on the bus and it's taking you where you want to go. And you freak out, being like, this bus is going to turn around and go the wrong way. And I get off it and get on a bus going the wrong way, hoping that thing's going to turn back around. That's how insane that is, all right? But most people will do that. You want to cut your losers as fast as possible, period. It's not working. And the winners, we want to ride as much as possible and add to them, right? You're right. It's like, why do I want to get out of the one that I'm right in and stay into the one I'm wrong in? It doesn't make any sense at all, but a lot of people do that. So what I do is I invented something called the Strat, short for the strategy. So we throw out technical analysis and let's go check her out. So from one bar to the next, right, there's only 3 possible things that can happen, or we call them scenarios. So here, here you'll notice this bar completely in that bar's range, right? Couldn't take out the highs, couldn't take out the lows. That's consolidation, right? Not strong enough to take out either side. That's a scenario 1. Scenario 2, you take out either the high or the low of the previous candle, all right? That's a 2. And most importantly, outside bar 3, you take out both sides. That's all that can possibly happen, okay? And so when going back to pattern recognition, the only pattern that doesn't get vaporized by changing time frames is this, the outside bar. That's a broadening formation on a shorter time frame. It has to be. It took out both sides, right? It's one of the most important things you can know, because once you start failing that too, right, you took out the high. And once you start failing and coming back through here, because we know outside bars exist, we know where it's going. It's going to take out the lows because that phenomenon exists, right? So we want to have more further evidence about that, okay? But we'll get to that in a second, time frame continuity. Here's another thing that's very important. There's only so, based on 1, 2, and 3, there's only so many ways that price can reverse. So we know what reversals look like. So when somebody says, I'm going to buy it on a pullback, we say, no, we will trade the reversal. So one of it is this. One of them is this type. 2 down, inside, 2 up. You go down, you have your consolidation, you have your reversal. 2, 1, 2. The New York reversal, 2, 1, 2. The 2, 2 reversal. 2 in one direction, 2 in the opposite direction. And the way you can gauge your magnitude on this is you see that these 2 up, 2 down, right? These 2, like I said, we analyze the data. We don't read the charts. Do we know outside bars exist? We do. So these 2 become an outside bar of that. So we're constantly combining all these things that we know, right? And then we've got the 3 itself as a reversal because it went 2 and reversed back down. Those, if you know those 3 right there, you're good to go. We also have the 3, 1, 2, but when we get too much into that, where you have the outside bar, then the inside bar. And the reason that's important is the outside bar means they were willing to pay up and sell down. Then you get the inside bar where they met in the middle again, and then somebody takes over. But we're not going into too much today on that. Now, how can we further know what's going on? And when I say 4 time frames, when the higher the volatility, the more likely we are to go down to shorter time frames because when we have heightened volatility, an hourly bar could be like a week or a month normally. We also use macro charts, which I'm going to get to in a second. And so time frame continuity, here's 4 time frames, right? So with 4 time frames, we say, okay, monthly, weekly, daily, and 60. They're all green. What is that telling me? Remember how we raised hands for participation groups? There's 4 groups out there, monthly, weekly, daily, and 60. At this point, they're taking the offer. They have to be. And when people are saying algorithms are picking me off, no, they're not. They're not. You're getting destroyed by price discovery. In this situation, you have to tell automated trading 4 things, actually 5, how much shares you want to do, but you got to tell 4 things. What do you want it to do? Spy? What do you want it to do, buy or sell? I want it to buy. How do you want it to buy? Do you want it to take the offer or do you want to sit on the bid? When do you want it to do it? For how long? When this condition exists, I know exactly what they told them. They said spy, they said buy, they said take the offer and do it now. That's what they told them, right? We know that to be true. This has to be true, right? We call that full time frame continuity to the upside. So when we can combine these reversals with that, we'll get a reversal against us, right? Then it lines up with the time frame continuity and another reversal in our direction. Every reason to believe that's going to work, right? And you'll see them turn on and off. So if you go to SPY, here, monthly SPY, knowing what I just told you, pandemic, 3, all right? Then in here, 2 down, inside, back up, all right? Did we know about that? We did. You also have that 3, 1, 2 right in here, right? So we knew about that. We also have these months in here. That was an outside month. That was an outside month. That was, right? We knew about all of them. We knew about all of them. Once they started going back through the range, we knew it, right? And we had continuity going our way. Not very hard. Plus, when things occur matters, all right? So was this low below the precious 200-day? You bet it was. When was this? That was April. That's a new quarter. That's something I'd want to know about, right? The quarterly boys came in, right? So if we go to here, this is a yearly chart of the SPY. So like I said, it's like if Fibonacci were true, you would have everything ever would be able to be formulated and calculated that way. So based on what I just told you, if you were a fund manager going way back, would you have known about all this stuff? You would. Here. 95, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2 up, 2 back in. Here's your 2-2 reversal in the year 2000. Down, down, and you would have been, continuity-wise, you would have already known you're in trouble there. Here, down, 2, 2, 2 down, but change is continuity here. 2-2 reversal back up. 2, 2, 2, financial crisis, 2-2 reversal down. 2 down, but then change in continuity. See these 3 years? They're an outside bar of all of this. Then you get your 2-2 reversal here, you're back up 2, 2. You would have known by red here to have some caution, right? But you're still 2 in your way up, right? Then you had your 3, and on the 3, you would have had a 2 down here, but you would have protected yourself, but then you can know to hit the gas again when you go up there, right? Then we had pandemic, opens here, goes 3 and comes all the way back up. One thing you'll hear me say is once a 3, always a 3 can't not be. If they sold down and paid up, they might do it again. Thus the name broadening formation, which they did. And we knew about that because the quarterly had already turned back to green. They were buying, right? They were certainly buying. And what were they buying? Let's take a look here. Okay. Where are we? Okay, so based on what we know, if you look at Wayfair, look at this. Look at this here. 2 up, 2 down. Just annihilated, right? After this big 3 in here, right? Do we know about that? So Wayfair, here's my Wayfair. Yeah, Wayfair, okay. Here, when it was recovering, was the pandemic bad for these guys? No. 2 down, 2 up, right in April. We knew right about that. We knew when we had that reversal in the month, we knew about that. And then here you see the 2 up, 2 down, right here. That triggered all of this, all the way back down. You ride them up, ride them down. Rob blocks. Just one thing, little word to the wise. Never in January 1st give your pick of the year. This is Josh Brown's pick of the year. I was like, is it? Because, oops. Is it? Because you see that, there's your 212 monthly. This thing's gotten annihilated. It broke that, and we knew about it. 93.27. This thing's down to $20, right? It's not even half a year. Carvana. Here's a good one. This is a yearly chart of Carvana. Look at this stuff. So what do? So I make a macro video of all this stuff once a month. So you know about all this stuff, right? And Carvana, that broke at 194.70. It's down to 46, right? Good stuff to know, isn't it? How about Netflix? This is a good one. How's the high? That's a 2 up, 2 down reversal in Netflix. And that broke at 640. It's Netflix. Where are you at now? 140. Here's the yearly Netflix. Did we know about that 2-2 reversal? We sure did. We sure did. The year broke at 478.54. So you could already have been in at 640. Does Netflix have buddies? Does. Amazon. What's that? That's a 2-2 reversal on the year. Did we know about that? We sure did. Let's see, where's my Amazons? Anyway. How about Facebook? Is that friends with Netflix? Sure is. Is that a 2-2 reversal on the year? Sure is. Do we know about that? We sure did. Is that still good? Yep. Now, here, if you go to the weekly, or the monthly here, during this, do you know how many guys came on CNBC calling bottoms? I was like, that ain't bottom, dude. That's going down, man, hard, right? We call that deep continuity. When you have that, you're not turning that around anytime soon. And then you have this. where it tried to go 2 down and come back up. And then here, when it failed and went here, that baby's going outside. That's going to be a 3. Boom, full time frame counter to the downside and take her down. We knew about that because here's the weekly. So the weekly goes up into here, makes that slight higher high, and then here in the weekly goes down. Once it goes down here, then I don't know. But I know that these are going to become an outside bar of that. I know that for sure. How about Shopify? There we go, Shopify. And this is a real fun one because Shopify, where's my Shoppy? Shop on the yearly, 2 up there, 2 up, 2 down, right? Annihilated on the year. That's what, 1,100, something like that. Or was it? 1,005.14 down to 377, right? Real nice. So, anyway, so some of these things really getting clocked here. Some nice charts for me to poop on. And it's not just these. You know it's been Peloton. You know, all these things getting destroyed. And when you know about continuity, you don't get in the way of this stuff, right? You know that this stuff is tanking, right? So you get out of the way. It's like this is full time frame continuity, the downside. The machines are hitting bigs, right? Then you wait for a new time frame, right? So what we'll say is that every day is like a new month to us. So where are my charts? So I know you're thinking, Rob, you're just a big old disaster girl, right? You're an old Chicago Stock Exchange short guy. You just come in here and just like to destroy things. And I'm like, well, the good thing about it is that things tend to go down faster than they come up, right? People fears a stronger emotion than greed, right? So we like that. So I found this kid and his Halloween parade in my neighborhood, and I was like, yeah, puking Dow kid. I'm like, I love this guy, right? But it's not all down, right, this year. So the good part is we know what to look for. We know what buys and sells look like, okay? Definitely. So I think we omitted the checklist, but we have a checklist. I already know what winning and losing trades look like. This is all you got to know. If you're trading a 1, you're getting chopped up. If you're fighting a 2, you're going to get buried. If you're ignoring a 3, you're going to get destroyed. If you're fighting continuity, that's a losing trade. Winning trades look like this. 2 in your favor. 3 in your favor with continuity and time frame continuity in your favor. That's the difference. If you go back, for people who have never heard this before, go back to all your trades and you'll see I'm right. This is what winners look like. This is what losers look like, period. You have to have some continuity to win. So, see, I'm not a big old disaster. How about AMR? This was a nice one, huh? This one 2 years ago, it broke at like 12 bucks. Now up to 170 or whatever. But as far as this year, what did we know to be true about a reversal in the year to the upside? XLE, energy. That's your winner, right? And we already knew about it last year because of this. We already had continuity. And now it's a 2-1-2 yearly reversal in XLE. And it triggered on the first day of the year. So if you think we're just a big bash and short selling, dumping on these puking NASDAQers, we've been long this stuff because this gives you the signal. Now, there's something called a simultaneous break, all right? And this is how you gain high probability, right? The highest probability trades are simultaneous break. And what that means is almost all the 2s are breaking in the same direction, in the same sector, right? It can be the entire market, but here, you'll notice Oxy. Oxy broke at 33.75, up to 65. How about Chevron? 2-1-2 reversal over 119.34, trading 170. Exxon broke over 66.38, trading 91.61 when I did these slides last week. PXD already jumped the gun. No reason to believe this thing was going down. PXD already went 3 last year, and now kept blasting. So we knew about that. So when I talk about this in Valero, the reason that this is a simultaneous break, almost every energy stock is 2 up on the year. Why is that important? I'll tell you why that's important. It's important because it tells me that institutions are buying them across the board. They're not discerning between companies and saying, well, I like Conoco over Exxon, and I like, they're buying everything that's got a drop of oil. That's something I'd want to know about, right? That's very high probability and really hard to turn around, right? And I know these are yearly charts, but these happen on a daily basis. It can happen by any time frame. We'll see them on a 60-minute basis. And what that tells us is we've got that amount of time to go after them, right? That it's going to last. We call that in force, right? So you have, and it can be across the board in, S&P and all the sectors. Like when you'll see all 11 sectors are down on the same day, the market's not turning around anytime soon, right? You got to have some leadership, right? So it's really important to understand that. Now, we go to, what do we got here? XLE. So we also had a simultaneous break to start off the year. So you're going to see this starting off the year. Here. See this 2 down, 2 up? It also came after a 1. We call that a reversal strategy. See this 1 consolidates. They attempted to break it to the downside, but weren't weak enough. And then boom, 2-2 reversal here to start the year, right? So you had that 2-2 reversal on the week, on the month, trigger, what's my XLE? At 57.87. And if that works, the yearly break was at 59.41. You can add there. Now we have 2 signals in force. And everybody's doing it. Here's PXD joining the party, 2-2 down, 2 up, right? You're not turning that around anytime soon, I'm telling you. And so that's really important. It's also important that we look for these combinations. We want to have as many of these signals triggering as we can. So we can have the daily, trigger the weekly, trigger the monthly, and it's in force for as long as that bar is open. So a monthly signal is good all month. So we can continually look for those shorter time frames to reconfirm that. So we'll look for shorter term, like daily reversals against us that reset it up, right, to go back up. So what is what I do? And how accurate is this stuff that I'm showing you? Because it looks pretty damn accurate, doesn't it? What I'll say is, I make a short video every night. Because of 1, 2, and 3 in time frame continuity, we can communicate very quickly. All right, I'm not sitting up there talking about stocks for 3 stocks for 15 minutes. So we got another tape for you to see. Here's 1 minute and 53 seconds.
Hello, everyone. I'm up with the Smith and Black, and we got the SPY. Couldn't quite go 3 on the day, just chopping around in here. So we really want to see how do we finish this week off, right? Right now, right back dead in the middle, right? Starting off the new month. Because we want to see which side we're closer to for next week to go to. Because the QQQ here is closer to shooter counters hammer. So we shall see, because we're still opening the new month handily so inside months on everything. So we know that. We got some earnings coming out. We're waiting on AVGO. And so far doing nothing. so far. But we'll see if that can get anything going in Marvell. The semis, because SMH stays inside day. And so does NVIDIA. So these things so far are doing nothing. But we'll see if there's anything that gets those going. Intel stays as an inside day. You've got Facebook stock as an inside day. MU, with the semis, you got some distance to take that out, at least moving around a little bit. We got Roku here. See if that wants to roll back down. You've got UPST here. See if we've got any more ripping in there, because it's still flirting with that. It's still inside week and up. So we'll see how that goes. The energies, you got Oxy. Inside day just holding gains up in there. Home Depot, keep an eye on that. See if that wants to come up and triangle these guys out, or just trying to get these guys back out. So we'll see. We go to Wynn Resorts, proxy for some of the pandemic names inside day. And Northrop Grumman. See if they want to gun this thing, if they've done what they want to do for a while. But it's like Marvell's tanking right now, but we'll let them open tomorrow and get to the weekend with the macro vid and the weekend vid. All right, that's going to do it for today. I'm up to this, Mr. Black.
All right, so for people new to this, that's total mumbo jumbo. You have no idea what it's talking about, right? People that do know, there's a lot of cases will go either way once that one breaks, depending on when it occurs, right? So if you take a look at the next slide, What did I talk about? I talked about the SMH and a bunch of semis, right? Potential simultaneous break, which we got. But SMH was down 2.93%. Facebook was down 1.4%. MU was down 8.14%. UPST was down 14.7% off that inside day. Roku was down 5%. Intel and Home Depot were flat. The two things I talked about long, Northrop Grumman up 4.3%, and Oxy up 17% the next day. That's one day. You know how many people can do that in their entire career? Not many. But we can do it pretty often. But don't take my word for it, right? We've got at Benzinga Pro, and unfortunately Ryan Faluna is not here. He's been very helpful with us because I know how hard it is to try and convince a community that there's a different way to do things after they've been doing it for 100 years. But this is how things are going to trade. It's just too efficient. Once you see this, you can't unsee it. All you see is 1, 2, 3 and combinations thereof and time frame continuity because that's all there is. And that's all there can ever be. You can't change that. And even if the whole world knows it, you can't change it. So at Benzinga Pro, I'm in there. We got a chat room in there. Ryan has interviewed me maybe 3 or 4 times. And there is 9 hours of his interviews with strat traders. Now, everybody's different. Even though, the strat is the same, everybody trades it different. It customizes itself to you. Right? He's even got an interview with Jim Bradley. And if you've never heard of him, I call him Lightning Jim Bradley on Twitter. He only has 15 losing days since the beginning of the year 2000. He only has 1 losing day this year. And his interview's in there. And he trades usually less than a minute a day. And that's how efficient you can be. Not everybody's mind is going to think in those terms. Right? Like I said, that's why you show the monthly charts. Some people are like, how do I want to invest? All right, so Benzinga Pro has got. I'm in there during the day. I'm running my own shop, but I'll stop in there. But I said 9 hours of interviews, and one of the good things is you want to see what kind of a strat trader you are, right? Because there's going to be similar people like you. Not everybody's going to be trading like Jim in 1 minute. Not everybody's going to be trading, Amazons or whatever like that. So one of the things about me in my chat room is I'm always discerning people into their proper groups. Be like, these guys trade like you. If they post, this is who you want to listen to. Because a good chat room, I think, should be pretty silent. Noisy one means nobody knows what they're doing. Anybody like this? Anybody think this is a buy? I'm like, you don't know what buys and sells look like? What are you doing? Right? You have to know that. Right? Trendspider. Jake, you in the house? Maybe he's out front. But Trendspider, Dan Ushman was going to be here too, and he couldn't make it. But Dan is the CEO and head programmer at Trendspider. And he lived about, I met him online. He's like, yeah, I'm in Chicago too. And I'm like, we should stop by the office. And he's like, well, we just had a newborn. And I'm like, well, where are you? He's like, oh, I'm in Ashland and Wilson. I'm like, dude, I can see you from here. My office is 2 blocks away. Come on over. And he walked in. The first question I had, I'm like, does your 60 update at the top or the bottom of the hour? He's like, no one's asked me that before. And he's like, bottom. I'm like, good. And I started to show him all this stuff. And he was like, his eyes just kind of glazed over. He's like, interesting. I'm like, let's see. Watch this. Where's it going? Up there. You sure? Yep. Watch this. In 3, 2, 1. Right now. He was like, I've never seen anything like that before in my life. I'm like, now you have. So then he brought Jake back and showed it to him. He's like, we're definitely putting these signals in our software. So not many people have their signals, and I don't like to use indicators, I say signals. Not many people have their signals put into major software. I have, all right? And so they have the 1, 2, 3 right in there. And you can search and go 1, 2 and find those 2, 2 reversals. They've got it all. And, we have a Facebook group of over 6,000, and they've got code for everything. I mean, there's some real madmen out there for all this kind of stuff. All right, so like I said, don't take my word for it. This is an email I received a while back. Okay, and I am a financial advisor, and I work at the firm who shall remain nameless. He's like, okay, Merrill Lynch. He's like, I manage $1.5 billion in assets for my team. 80% is traded with discretion based on clients' risk tolerance. I believe the learning the strat is and will benefit those that trust me with their financial capital. My goal now for portfolios is to consider the strat in everything I do. Merrill Lynch, $1.5 billion. Think I convinced him? I think I did. I got a buddy out in Silicon Valley that I've been hassling about this too. And I was like, dude, you got to check this out. Dude, I'm changing the industry. As a group, we are changing the industry. Eventually, everyone's going to trade like this. It's just too efficient. And he looked it up and he's like, dude, your digital footprint is huge. He's like, he Googled me. He's like, there's Strat everywhere. And I was like, it's all organic. I'm like, you would have had to pay millions for this. And I'm like, word of mouth, man. You make people money, they talk, right? And I'm very proud of that. But don't ask me. Ask the University of North Carolina. I'm going to be addressing their honors program on the Strat this fall. I've been talking to the professor for a long time now, and he's like, we want to put this into our investment club program. We would enjoy working with you. And I'm like, you got it. University of North Carolina, stamp of approval. So here's what you do, right? You learn the Strat, all right? You make the money. You tell people about it and say, because one of the great things is, like I said before, we can communicate very quickly, right? Unlike any other place, any other shop has got to give some, well, it could hold support and blah, blah, blah. It's like 1, 2, 3 combinations thereof continuity. When is this occurring? Do we have a simultaneous break? Period. So you learn this. And I promise you, for the people who raise their hands first, once you go back and look at charts, you're not going to see anything different. This is all you're going to see. You're just going to be like, that guy's right. That guy is absolutely right. That's all there can be. Now that's all I'm going to see. And then do you know what you do? You train your kids. This is AAA Trading Partners, LLC. Allison and Abby, 14 and 12. They've been trading the Strat for 4 years. Here's when they started. Here they are today. And Abby pretty much keeps the books. Allison hits the keys. She's damn good. And here's when they started. We like to say get when we got something moving. We heart the Strat. And ooh, they cut off Abby's hand right here and here. You see here, when they first started, I called them the iWatch girls. After 2 months, they bought themselves iWatches. And their dad makes them keep most of their money in there. But that's what you do, because it's like a video game now. You know, they don't have any preconceived notions. Well, I don't know. They miss their earnings, and I don't know. I like the company. Buys look like this. Sells look like that. And, you know, it was funny because I do a coaching session, 1 hour each week. And one time their dad texted me, and halfway through, Allison said, Daddy, can I leave? I already know all this. So very proud of them. So here's my desk. And some people are like, oh, that's such overkill. I'm like, when you know the Strat, there's so many signals you can't get to it all, right? It's a matter of trying to find those simultaneous breaks that have the higher probability. That's what I'm doing all day. So I'm air traffic control because we believe trading is much better as a two-person job. What I mean about that is that we all think exactly alike. I'm calling stuff out, you hit the keys. We will destroy people that have to analyze and execute at the same time, right? Because what that does is it mitigates mental error. You know what to do, right? And then oftentimes I'll make sure people stay in a trade. I'm like, well, I don't know, I want to go to lunch. It kind of stalled out. Still good. It's still good. What are you getting out for? You're letting somebody else out. That thing's still good, right? So you'd rather have more hands, more eyeballs, more keyboards watching all your stuff, right? You would. So during the day, I'm on the headset 7 hours a day. Then I make those short videos at night. On Monday night, I come back on after an hour for another hour to train people. I do something called the Strat Attack Show on Tuesday because on Tuesday, I can see what things have reversed Monday's stuff, where they sort of turn around Tuesday, and the things that continue. That's what we want to know about. Who's still two and who went two against. So I do the Strat Attack Show. On the weekend, I make a more comprehensive video about all the sectors and what's going on. Once a month, I make a macro video of all those monthlies and quarterlies that we're looking at. But I'm pretty much on the headset all day long, directing the traffic. So we decided for coming out here for a half year, $499, 6 months. And what that does, I'd like to think that the power hour training session is worth it alone, right? So you got your code there, FinTwit 6, right? And just the coaching alone, because like I said, that not only do you have me, but a large community that's been doing this a long time, right? So we can, you know, so I can focus you with those types of people. It's really helpful. So, all right. So I'm glad y'all came out today. Just about out of time, but since it's Vegas, for coming out today, I'd like to thank you. Thank you very much. All right. All right.
Man, that was crazy, wasn't it? That was awesome. Rob after bringing the business, I tell you what, the macro charts, Netflix, talking about the SPY, talking about QQQ, oh my goodness, Tech Rec, talking about Peloton. He didn't bring up Peloton, he should have. I think he did. But anyway, so many charts. Go watch it again, he did great. And did we know about that? We did. Wayfair. That was a good one. I got some good stories about that one. Me and a few traders trading that stuff. So get in there with Rob, with me, with Michael Dang, with OG Trades, with John Antonelli out here at Set Your Group. Come in here, watch us all trade the strat, and then and we got the blogs. We got the blogs. We got some other stuff coming too. It's in the works. But come in here with the strat with Rob. Learn what buys and sells look like. Know where to go, and don't get killed. Don't get killed. Strat Soldier 2022. That'll get you in. Follow Separate Group. Follow Separate Group for any new deals. I don't know when that stuff that we've been this mass like deals. But I'm pretty sure they're gonna start shutting that stuff down. Okay, so you might want to jump in there quick before they lock it all down. Anyway, come in the forums, post your questions there, get in up your social, have a great time with us. This is the Strat Soldier. Thank you so much for being here. This was fun. I am the Strat Soldier. This is the Weekend Shift. I'll see you next Saturday. Peace.